Good evening, you're watching Just the News. I'm Amita Balachandra. We start off today's bulletin with floods that have happened in Bengaluru because several areas are inundated. There were heavy rainfall over the weekend and the next couple of days as well, but many areas, even today, are inundated. An 86-year-old resident died of a heart attack at his flooded house in Bengaluru's Rainbow Drive layout on Tuesday after his family could not shift him to the hospital immediately. We got reports today that Rainbow Layout is still flooded after a drain overflowed. Now, Karnataka Chief Minister visited drain-hit areas today. He said that Bommai and Mahadevpura in Bengaluru have suffered heavy damage. The Chief Minister said that the state government has released 1,500 crore rupees for the construction of drains. Now, according to a study, the drains have pushed average commute time in Bengaluru, which is already known for its bad traffic snarls, up by 62% in August. Now, the Karnataka government on Wednesday decided to mercilessly remove properties blocking rainwater flow as well. Earlier, if you remember, there were visuals coming in over the weekend from Ramanagara district, which is next to Bengaluru, as it witnessed heavy rains and the incomplete Bengaluru-Mysuru highway was completely inundated. In the meantime, the Indian Meteorological Department has predicted heavy rainfall in parts of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, South Interior Karnataka as well in the next couple of hours. The IMD has said as heavy rain is predicted, people have been asked to relocate to safer areas and follow instructions of authorities as well. With the sea current expected to be strong, those living along the coast need to be on alert. In fact, the IMD has said that the fishermen need to be on alert as well. Rainfall is likely in parts of Kerala, including regions of Thiruvananthapuram, Kollam, Patnamthitta, among other areas as well. An update on the Karnataka seer Shivakumar Muruga Sharanaru, who has been booked under several sections, including the POCSO Act, but there are fresh charges under the Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act days after he was accused of sexually assaulting minor girls. He was booked earlier under sections of the POCSO Act on the 27th of August after two schoolgirls alleged that the seer sexually abused them for years during their stay at the hostel. Now, protests by Dalit and student organizations were seen in parts of Karnataka, including Bengaluru's Freedom Park, demanding his immediate arrest. In the meantime, a Karnataka court today has adjourned hearing in the anticipatory bail plea that was filed by the Lingayat seer. The court adjourned the hearing to Friday, which is tomorrow. An update on the Jharkhand case as well. The Jharkhand police has said that they've added sections of the POCSO Act to the FIR registered after a class 12 girl died in Dumka district after being allegedly set on fire by a man who stalked her. Now, an SIT has been formed by the police to probe the death. The incident happened in Dumka town on the 23rd of August when a man allegedly poured petrol on the girl from outside the window of her room while she was sleeping and set her on fire. She died of her burn injuries in a Ranchi hospital on the 28th of August. Also in the news, the Allahabad High Court on Tuesday directed the CBI to file an affidavit about the progress in the trial of the Hathras gangrape and murder case. On the 14th of September 2020, a Dalit woman was gang raped and killed by four upper caste men. The district authorities had secretly cremated the 19-year-old's body around 3 a.m. on the 30th of September without the consent of her family, who alleged that they were locked up in their home by the police during the cremation. Now, the High Court had later taken suo motu cognizance of this matter in October 2020. At Tuesday's hearing, the Uttar Pradesh government informed a bench comprising Justices Rajan Roy and Jaspreet Singh that the state was in the final stage of preparing a standard operating procedure for the dignified cremation of bodies. The next hearing is on the 20th of September. Moving on from the story now, the centre on Thursday has announced India's first indigenously developed quadrivalent human papilloma virus vaccine for prevention of cervical cancer called as Cervavac. Now, this will be launched in the next few months and will be available in the price range of 200 to 400 rupees. Now, cervical cancer ranks as the second most prevalent cancers in India and accounts for nearly one-fourth of the world's cervical cancer deaths, despite being largely preventable. Moving on now, according to a report by PTI, a SpiceJet flight that took off from Delhi this morning returned midway to the national capital due to an autopilot snag. Now, in recent months, if you remember, SpiceJet aircraft have suffered several technical snags. On the 5th of July, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation had issued a show cause notice to the airline following 8 instances of technical malfunction in a span of a matter of 18 days. Now, the notice sought the company's explanation on the degradation of its safety margins. On to politics right now. The AAP has won the vote of confidence tabled by the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in the State Assembly. All MLAs present in the Assembly voted in favour of the confidence motion. BJP MLAs entered the well of the House and were subsequently marshalled out of the Assembly. The MLAs then held a protest outside the Assembly. Subsequently, Mr. Kejriwal said, and I quote, "BJP's Operation Lotus has failed miserably," end quote. Meanwhile, in Jharkhand, leaders of Jharkhand's ruling JMM Congress coalition met Governor today, and this amid the political crisis in the state. If you remember, on 27th of August, the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha and its allies began moving its legislators out of Ranchi amid fears of poaching. And this comes even as there were reports on the 25th of August that the Election Commission had sought Mr. Soren's disqualification as an MLA, and the Chief Minister currently is facing allegations against him in an office of profit case. Now, according to ANI, these MLAs approached the governor and said, and asked in fact, how selective information was being leaked to the media. Moving on to business news right now. The GST collected in August by the government saw a 28% increase this year when compared to the same month last year, as it's crossed 1.43 lakh crore rupees. Now, the highest monthly GST collection of 1.67 lakh crore rupees was recorded in April. Also, global ratings agency Moody's has now slashed India's economic growth for the current fiscal to 7.7% from its previous estimate of 8.8% in May. It also lowered India's growth forecast for 2023 to 5.2% from 5.4%. The agency cited rising interest rates, uneven distribution of monsoon, and slowing global growth for this reduced projection. Moving on now, Adani Group will launch its open offer on the 17th of October for acquiring an additional 26% stake in media firm NDTV. Now, an advertisement by JM Financial has said the open offer for acquiring 1.67 crore equity shares, for which a price of 294 rupees per share has been fixed, will tentatively close on the 1st of November. In the meantime, NDTV promoter group firm RRPR Holding has told VPCL that its stakeholding in NDTV has been provisionally attached by the IT authorities and require their approval for the transfer. This has now been rejected by the Adani Group, which termed it as misconceived and misleading statements, while asking RRPR Holding to convert the warrants into equity shares. Moving on to international news right now. Portugal's health minister, Marta Temido, has resigned on Tuesday after widespread criticism of her decision to temporarily close emergency obstetric services. Now, a pregnant Indian woman died on Saturday during transfer between hospitals because of lack of vacancies in the neonatology service. And this is the reason Ms. Temido said that she has decided to step down as she, and I quote, realized that she no longer had the conditions to remain in office, end quote. Now, the Portuguese government had decided earlier to close some emergency obstetric services in view of shortage of doctors during the summer holidays, especially on weekends. Opposition parties had then said and criticized this move and said that this would lead to pregnant women being forced to travel to hospitals located far away. Also, an update in the Sri Lankan economic crisis story. Sri Lanka has reached a preliminary agreement with the International Monetary Fund for a loan of about $2.9 billion. But this is essentially a staff level agreement and it's provisional at this point in time. It's subject to approval by IMF management and its executive board, and this is according to a report by Reuters, which says that it's contingent on Sri Lankan authorities following through with previously agreed measures. The fund announced on Thursday, and I quote, IMF staff and the Sri Lankan authorities have reached a staff-level agreement to support Sri Lanka's economic policies with a 48-month arrangement, under the extended fund facility of about $2.9 billion, end quote. If you remember, Sri Lanka is battling its worst ever economic crisis. Also, the UN has said that China's arbitrary detention of Uyghur Muslims in the Xinjiang region may constitute crimes against humanity. Now, the United Nations Human Rights Office, in its report, accused China of violating human rights under its anti-terrorism and anti-extremism policies in the Xinjiang region. Now, China in the past, of course, has rejected all of this. In the past, China has said that these are re-education facilities used to combat terrorism. In fact, post this report on Thursday, China claimed that the United Nations report is based on lies fabricated by forces working against the country. We wrap things up with one piece of news coming in from Kolkata. Kolkata organized mega rally to thank UNESCO's heritage tag for Durga Puja. Now, in December 2021, the biggest festival in West Bengal got a heritage tag with the UN agency inscribing Durga Puja in Kolkata on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. West Bengal Chief Minister said, and I quote, "The rally marks the start of the month-long Puja celebrations. UNESCO's support will give a big boost to the Puja festivity," end quote. That brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.